The law of avoidance is not actually a real law when it comes to manifesting a specific person. I just liked it because I heard Tim say it in the most recent video him and I did, and I wanted to use it as my title because I'm trying to work on my clickbaity titles for you guys. Am I contradicting myself now? Oh man, what a bummer. Tim and I recently did a video yesterday that Tim now has posted over on his channel, so I highly encourage you guys to go check it out. In the video, Tim did a phenomenal job opening and discussing the topic of the avoidance issue in this community and how prevalent it is amongst coaches as well in dealing with clients. So many people in this community, it seems, and you hear that term avoidance, you hear avoidant attachment style, you hear that kind of language when you talk about, therapist or whatever the case may be, and trying to heal that. But it shows up when working with people as well. And Tim did a great job at explaining how so many people have this avoidance issue that pretty much all coaches, all your favorite YouTubers are experiencing, have experienced, and people reaching out saying, "Oh, I want to work with you," but then you don't hear back from them after they reach out. They might fill out a questionnaire or whatever, and then all of a sudden you don't hear anything back from them. Tim did an excellent job at explaining avoidance issues and people doing that kind of behavior and how it most likely probably correlates in other areas of your life, especially when it comes to a specific person, because we realize a lot of things you probably are avoiding, whether it's working with a coach or whether it's getting some sort of help or doing what you need to do, talking to somebody, talking to a SP. There's avoidance issues, and it's not just in one area. It most likely permeates all areas of your life. And it's something that needs to be addressed and worked on when you talk about elevating or ascending to becoming a better version of yourself and your self concept. Because chances are, if you are avoiding people or coaches, people that you might have reached out to on YouTube and said, "Oh, yeah, I want to work with you," and then you say you want to sign up, and then all of a sudden you just go ghost on them. If you've done that to people, coaches on YouTube, chances are you've done that to other people in your life, your friends, maybe your family members, maybe your SP. You're avoiding taking the action for whatever reason. And something that I explained in the video with Tim is getting down to the bottom of why you are avoiding. Why don't you just contact people back? Why do you just ghost people? Why do you say, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to contact you," and then you never follow through with your word? Because when you talk about the law, people always talk about the law working, but you also have to understand that the law also works in reverse. So this is what happens when you say, people say, what goes around comes around. So if you are avoiding people, well, guess what? The law of attraction says, well, people are also going to avoid you as well. So don't be upset when that comes back around to you and people avoid you, or your SP doesn't contact you, or your SP avoids you, because you are also avoiding other people in your life. So you are going to have that reflected back to you in the form of other people are going to start ghosting you as well. So I want you guys to remember that when you next time you think about avoiding people or just not responding to people in a professional manner in whatever the context is, whether it's professional, whether it's family members, whether it's friends. It's just a common courtesy to get back to people and say, "You know what, actually, I thought I wanted to work with you, but I actually don't. Thank you." Or, "You know what, I thought I wanted to go out on that adventure, or I wanted to take this trip with you, but hey, actually, I don't." It's okay to cancel. It's okay to be clear with people. And as Tim was saying in the video, people struggle with just clear communication. It's not even an LOA thing. It's not an LOA technique that you're failing to do. A lot of this stuff is just really, in my opinion, common sense. And so if people could just really look at it that way and say, "Man, it's not that I'm doing a technique wrong. It's I'm simply just not communicating effectively." If people could take care of the communication part, you would be extremely shocked at how easier your life would be from a communication standpoint, at least, and not having these misinterpretations and certain things like that and these arguments for no reason. A lot of arguments, in my opinion, start from lack of communication. A lot of disagreements, if it's not an argument, can start from lack of communication. So just this one fix in your life can seriously dramatically make great changes damn near overnight. But while we are on the topic of avoidance and what people avoid, I want to talk about a very big part of this, of avoiding things that people avoid all the time. And this is in the world in general. And that is avoidance when it comes to the truth. Watching a lot of this SP content and working with SP clients, and also just watching dating content over the past few years and studying it. I don't watch it anymore, but just from when I did watch it a couple years ago, whenever the time frame was, watching all of that really showed me how much people do not want the truth. People actually want to be lied to. And I know that that sounds crazy, but I'm sure many of you know people, or you might know examples in your own life where you know you were in a bad spot and you didn't care what people said and you actually wanted to be lied to. And I realize this now, even recently after watching the debates and politics and things like that. And I'm not going to talk about politics in this video, but I realize no matter what truth is out there, where the evidence is there, people don't care. They literally want to be lied to. So many people have confirmation bias and they look for confirmation bias in whatever the area is in their life. And it's the same thing with this manifesting specific person stuff. And this is why so many of these YouTubers on YouTube are super popular, or they get super popular quickly, is because they're telling people what they want to hear and not telling people what they need to hear. Because when people are desperate, when people want something so bad, they want that lie to keep being fed to them. They don't want to believe anything other than what it is that they want to happen. So when somebody comes to you and says, yeah, you can get your specific person overnight, that's what you want to hear, because that's what you want. That's your number one desire right now. So they keep telling you that, you keep coming back. And I said this in my past videos. I can't tell you guys how many times therapists or psychologists or whoever it was, dating coaches, whenever they started telling people the truth about what they needed to hear, when they stopped pandering to people, they lost clients. And that tells you everything you need to know. People always say they want the truth, but it's like that famous line in that movie. What do you want? What do you want? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. I forget what that movie was called. Who said that? Was that, who's the guy? Jack Nicholson said that in that movie. That line is exactly the LOA community. That line is exactly what's going on in politics right now. That line, like, nobody wants the truth. We want to be lied to. We want to be pandered to. Everybody, so many people say they want the truth, but when you give it to them, they get mad, they get angry, they don't know how to handle it. So I realized a lot of people, they actually want to be lied to. Because why? Like we started the video off, law of avoidance. People want to avoid the band-aid being pulled off. They want to avoid that pain. They want to avoid actually addressing the real issue of what's going on with them. They want to avoid the fact that they're avoiding. Think about that. And this is exactly why I've said in past videos that ignorance is bliss. Because when you don't know, when you are ignorant to what the truth is, you are much happier. You're much happier when you don't know what's really going on in the world. You're much happier if you believe whatever the news tells you. You're much happier if a coach tells you, oh, it's 100% guaranteed that you're going to get your specific person back. You're happier when you're told those things you want to believe, even if it's not true. But see, me, I refuse to lie to people. And I know Tim feels the same way. We refuse to lie to people. I would rather tell you the truth and help you figure out how to try to deal with that truth than to just tell you a flat out lie just to make you feel better. Because I understand life don't work that way. The world doesn't care about your feelings. Politics doesn't care about your feelings. The economy doesn't care about your feelings. Strangers on the internet don't care about your feelings. And part of LOA, in my opinion, a important part, I might add, is mastering those feelings, mastering your emotions. People are not in control over their emotions. Their emotions control them. We won't admit it, but a lot of us as adults, we are just grown children who never got out of that child state. And so as adults, we behave that way because a child is someone who is not in control over their emotions. An adult is supposed to be someone who can control their emotions. It's not supposed to be the other way around. Our emotions are not supposed to control us. When our emotions control us, this is when we do irrational things, when we act out on impulse, and usually it leads to detrimental consequences. You hear so many times people say, "Oh, I'm emotionally mature. I'm emotionally mature." Such and such, we're emotionally mature. But what does that mean? Do you think you're emotionally mature because you acknowledge and feel your feelings? You acknowledge your feelings, or because you're super emotional about everything, you cry all the time, or you express yourself all the time, so that makes you super emotional? No, emotionally mature to me means you can control your emotions. That's what an emotionally mature person is. See, the one thing that I realize is when you have a conversation with somebody and you're talking about something, the first order of business, in my opinion, is to establish what is your definition of whatever you're debating. Because a lot of times I realize is people talk about a topic, but they have two different definitions of what something means. So when you're talking about emotional maturity, talk to somebody and figure out what is their definition of emotional maturity. And when you're talking about anything else to anybody, ask, okay, before we start this debate or this conversation, what is your definition of such and such? Because that right there will clear up a lot of why people think the way that they think. What is your definition of LOA? What is your definition of law of attraction or law of assumption? What is your definition of living in the end? What is your definition of robotic affirming? A lot of us are all talking about the same concepts, but we don't realize we have different definitions of the same theme. People have different definitions of law of attraction, law of assumption. I personally believe law of attraction and law of assumption is the same thing, just different names were being used based on the time period that a person lives in. But bottom line is, you want to establish the definition of something because that will ultimately allow you to get to what the truth is that you are seeking. And then once you figure that out, you can really start to learn how you can accept that truth and build upon that truth. Part of the whole point in a good coach, in my opinion, is someone that is going to help you uncover that truth, figure that truth out, and then how to go about dealing with it for the near future, for the next year, if not longer. That's the definition, to me, part of the definition of what a true coach is. A true coach isn't going to lie to you just so you can keep paying them. That's not what a true coach does. True coach is going to tell you the truth whether you like it or not. And you might not like it, but in the end, down the road, you will respect it. You will look back and say, you know what? Such and such was the only person that told me the truth that I didn't want to hear. Everybody else lied to me. All my friends, they pandered to me, told me what I wanted to hear, and I didn't get anywhere. And it wasn't until it really hit me that when whoever I worked with or whoever that one person was, They told me what I didn't want to hear, and that actually helped me the most. And it happens all the time. Many of you have heard that saying, the truth will set you free. And it's true. But the lies feel comfortable. The lies are what keeps you going. The lies are what keeps replaying in your head because that's all you know. And I get it. A huge part of the unknown is the unknown scares people. The unknown, not knowing or making up a story in your mind that your mind believes. That's powerful because that's kind of the ego's way to keep you safe in a sense, because that's one of the ego's job is to keep you safe. And the unknown is very scary to a lot of people. The unknown, also known as the gray area. The gray area is very scary to a lot of people. People want things to be black and white. And that's why a lot of people try to coach. A lot of YouTube coaches or any coaches, dating coaches or whoever, a lot of them try to take this black and white approach, which is why a lot of them are often wrong, to be frank, is because life isn't black and white as people try to make it out to be. LOA, it isn't black and white as people try to make it out to be. There's a ton of gray areas. And the people that figure out and get comfortable in those gray areas, those are the people that go on to do great things. Because the gray area no longer scares you, but you've gotten comfortable in the gray area. You've made it home. So my request to all of you that hear this message today, if you listen to the full message, is I hope that you make the decision to not be afraid of the truth. Don't be afraid of the truth. Whatever that truth may be for you, don't get comfortable with the lies. Don't live and walk in the lies another day. Don't get caught up in your biases. Don't get caught up in your blind spots, because when you are not open and receptive, that's when you become biased. That's when you become blind. And people don't realize you become that way to your own detriment. You become it's cultish. It's cult like. I mean, you guys know from this community. You guys see how certain people in the Neville Goddard community, how Neville can do no wrong, and they only use his teachings to talk about all of the good, but when it comes to the bad, they try to deny it. They're in denial. That sort of thing. They're in denial about how Neville's life ended. They always want to try to use these teachings for good, as if duality doesn't exist, as if bad doesn't exist. Good exists because bad exists. We wouldn't know what good is without bad. A lot of us, pretty much all of us. So I want all of you to look in the mirror, and I want you all to check yourselves. Take an honest, hard look in the mirror at yourself and look at your biases. No matter what area of life, take a good, honest, hard look at yourself and ask yourself, am I biased in certain areas in my life? Am I even willing to listen to an opinion that's different than mine? Am I even mature enough to have a conversation with somebody that has a different opinion than mine? Will I get angry? Will I not get angry? These are the questions you got to ask yourself. Am I ready for the truth? Tell yourself from this day forward, you will no longer tolerate being lied to by whoever. Tell yourself you will no longer this day be comfortable with just being pandered to just because it makes you feel comfortable. Because that is what keeps you stuck. The very fact that you will not admit to the lies and not admit to what you really have to admit to, this is exactly why people stay stuck month after month, year after year, and can't really attract their specific person. Is because they're going to these coaches who confirm for them, all you got to do is X, Y, and Z. No, you don't have to do shadow work. All you got to do is affirm. All you got to do is this. They're going to those coaches that confirm their biases. And then what happens is month after month goes by and there's no results. And you say, oh, I've been affirming, or I've been doing whatever technique and that I saw and nothing's worked. How come? Because you don't realize you were being lied to by that coach, or you were being lied to by those people in that community on Reddit. They were gaslighting you because you were believing the lies. Because a lot of times the lies give you hope. When people lie to you and say, "Oh yeah, you can get your SP back," or "Yeah, you can do da 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 da," that gives you hope. But understand the hope you want to understand. You don't want to get your hope from lies. You want to get your hope from the truth. And this is what happens: is people are building foundations of hope based off of lies. They're not building a solid foundation of hope based off of truth. And that's what you want to do. You want to build a solid foundation of hope based off of what is true, not off of lies. Those lies build a foundation of sticks and sand. Soft, no hard foundation. The water just comes and washes it away. You don't want that to be your foundation. But unfortunately, in the LOA community, a lot of people are building their foundation on sticks and sand, which is, oh, all you got to do is affirm to get a specific person back. No, they're lying to you. You're telling you what you want to hear and making it seem like it's going to happen in 3 days. My whole objective, and I know Tim's whole objective in working with people, is to sell you hope based on what's true, the actual facts. And then from there, we want that hope to be able to establish such a solid foundation to where even if you don't get your person back, you will get somebody that is their equivalent or way better in a perfect way. Tim and I's whole goal is if you manifest something or don't manifest something, we want you to be able to have the tools in the process while you are in your waiting season. We want you while you're in your waiting season to be able to know how to deal with that waiting season. Whether that waiting season is a month, whether it's 6 months, whether it's a year. We want you to be able to have the tools and to know exactly why you're going through what you're going through and what to do in those positions. So for those first 3 months that you're going through whatever, we want you to know exactly why you're going through it. And we want you to know exactly how to deal with it when those thoughts come up about an SP and them not being there. Or if you see your SP with somebody else moved on, we want you to know exactly why this happened and how to handle it and what's really going on. And then once you get that past that first 3 months, and then the next 3 months, you won't be as bad as you were the first 3 months. And so now you've made progress. That's what we call progress, right? So now the next 3 months, now you're focused on, you got out of that slump that you were in for the first 3 months. Now you're focused on, okay, how can I take this to the next level for myself even more? How can I really apply this even more than I did the first 3 months? How can I walk in this knowing now even more? Because the hardest part, typically a lot of times is always in the beginning, first couple of months. But then after that, it starts to get easier and easier the more of a solid foundation you lay based off of the truth. And like I said, instead of based off of lies. And this is the powerful part about having people who are really in your corner and really rooting for you and really helping you navigate the 3D. Because like I said before, the real coaching people don't need coaching on saying affirmations. You know how to talk. You already know how to visualize. You know how to do a technique. You know how to write on a piece of paper and script and put it under your pillow or just read it every morning when you wake up or put it on your bathroom mirror. You guys know how to do that. That's not what you need help with. People need help with the day-to-day grind of trying to manifest something. They need help with the day-to-day directions. They need help with the day-to-day problems that show up when you're trying to manifest something at work or when you're trying to manifest something in your relationship. You're trying to get an ex back. You need help. People need, that's where coaching comes in. And this is what a lot of people in the coaching community don't provide. They don't provide that guidance of when I wake up and I feel like shit, how can I change that? How can I stop that feeling of feeling like shit? Because saying an affirmation ain't working. This is what people need help with. That's real coaching, is when you help people with the day-to-day stress of dealing with something in their life that they don't have that they're trying to get to from point A to point B. That's what this community is lacking. And that's where Tim and I, like I said, that's our bread and butter, man. We really help people deal with the problems on a day-to-day basis. We help people feel into their problems. And we help people get rid of that feeling a lot of times. Because when you have the tools, you can help people get rid of the feelings fairly quickly. Tim and I have helped quite a few people get rid of some pretty serious, intense feelings that they had for stuff. We've helped them get rid of those feelings in a relatively short period of time. And a lot of times people say, that feeling hasn't come back, Marv. Tim, that feeling hasn't come back. A lot of times people tell us that. And you know what? If the feeling does come back, it's nowhere near as strong as it was. And it doesn't hurt like it hurt in the past. And guess what? If it does come back and it does somewhat, you feel it, you know how to deal with it, because Tim and I teach you how to deal with that on your own. We teach you that. We teach you how to process that on your own. Because, again, we're not lying to you. We're telling you the truth. That's what this whole program is built off of. Our SP Mastermind, or our immersive coaching, where you basically get 24/7 access to us. That's built off of deep work, deep truth, not this surface level BS that is being spewed throughout this community. And the only reason the surface level stuff is being spewed in this community is because it feels good. It's building you. It's telling you what you want to hear off a foundation of lies. What's that saying? There's a saying out there. I heard this saying that said, nobody cares about the truth when a lie is more entertaining. A lie will travel around the world 500 times before the truth will travel around the world once. Because like I just said, lies and being lied to is more entertaining and is more comfortable than the truth. You got to wake up and make the decision to stop being lied to. Stop being okay with being lied to. A lot of you are being lied to by people you think you trust too. Again, whether it's politics, whether it's people in your life, your friends are telling you, oh, you look fine. Oh, you're healthy. And you know you're not healthy. Picture somebody telling Neville Goddard as a friend, Neville, you don't have to stop drinking. Keep drinking. Keep drinking, Neville. You don't have to stop drinking. Meanwhile, Neville's liver was terrible. And he died of a brain aneurysm. That's not a real friend. A real friend isn't going to keep telling you to keep doing something detrimental when they know it's bad for you. A real friend's going to tell you, yo, you need to stop. You need to make a change. They're not going to keep telling you, hey, Neville, go ahead, keep drinking that brandy. Go ahead, keep drinking that fifth of whatever. Because you're healthy. No, you're not. You're sick. You need to stop. But again, who cares about the truth when a lie is more entertaining?